Hello, Steve Arts 89. I just want to talk about this. Um, I haven't done a lot of the research though, so I can't talk in depth. It'll be a short video. But the knives are out for Wonder Woman 1984. The knives are out for Wonder Woman. Apparently, some of the early reviews are in. And one of the things that was established early on, I'm not sure if my focus is in the right place for this video, but whatever. Early on, a little while ago, it was established that one of the villains in this Wonder Woman film, second Wonder Woman film, is a businessman played by Pablo Pascal, who's very, very extreme left wing. Maybe not extreme, he's very left wing. And he's like a Trump-like character. So while that's appropriate for the 80s, because that's when Trump came up and he became this sort of icon of 80s sort of greed and power and money, even though he was bankrupt and not making any money. They're using that, but they're also sort of using sort of the current example of Trumpism and all that. And of course, the second you do that, right or wrong, creatively, sticking to your creative, your artistic integrity or not, you are automatically going to alienate and turn off half the audience and half the critics and half everyone, because half the country loves Trump and believes his lies and believes the myths and is buying into the racism and all this. I'm not sure why. Some people have their own reasons for believing it. Some people actually agree with him. Some people are racist as well. So there's lots of different reasons why people are believing in and investing in Trump and want him to succeed and want him to be the president and all this. It's all very weird and interesting. But you automatically are going to alienate half the people. And a lot of people are doing reviews apparently are being negative. And all the people I watch are hating it. And I'm not shocked, because they loved Wonder Woman before, but now now she's orange man bad, as some people are saying. That means she's bad. So it's just automatic. It's like, oh, you're not for us, you're against us. You're not for Trump, you're against us. You're criticizing Trump, even in a subtle way. Like, this villain may really have nothing to do with Trump and anything he's done, but just, his persona might just sort of be that sort of 80s businessman sort of icon sort of that Trump sort of became. It may just be that's all he is, and that's just that shallow. It's just a superficial thing. It may be more complicated. They may actually go into political things that are happening now and just have them on this sort of 80s sort of style sort of character. So I watched a few people call the film trash and just basically say it's going to be a dumpster fire. And maybe it is better that it's going to streaming and it's not going to make the money. It's not going to be a blockbuster, because there is the cinema industry, the film industry is just on its last sort of hope. It's a mess, and there just aren't enough cinemas open to, even if it ran every day and was the only movie, there aren't enough cinemas open to give it that sort of $1 billion box office that it could have gotten. And a lot of people are smart enough not to go to the theatre, even though some of them can, they're still not going to because of COVID. So there's no way it could make the sort of money that it was going to. Maybe if they put it off for another 6 months or a year, maybe it could have. But they're trying to launch HBO Max, and they've just written the film off, and they're just going to, considering it a loss leader, I guess, and they're just going to put it on and try and help HBO Max. And they paid off Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, who didn't want to support HBO Max in the move. They weren't happy with it, but they basically paid them $10 million each, apparently, this is the rumour, so that they, wouldn't be out financially, because they would have lost their share of that money, profit that's not being made, because they probably believed if you just put the film out, after the pandemic, it'll make money and we'll make the same money we would have made beforehand and get our cut. They just paid them the money so they're not salty, and asked them to please promote this film on HBO Max. It's good for you, it's good for HBO Max, it's good for the audience, people get to see it, rather than missing out on it because they can't go to the cinema or they won't. So just it's a good thing, just go with it. So they seem to be doing that now, especially Patty. She wasn't as convincing as Gal in her support for the film. She came across very much as, it was funny. I watched an interview with her and it was funny. But yeah, the knives are out. People are not happy. People are calling it trash. People are saying it's Orange Man bad, and it's it's just empty spectacle, and it's just big and glossy and not about anything, and maybe it suffers from the same problem that Supergirl had, where they had a very small story with just a small villain, and it wasn't really sort of world changing like Superman, sort of like the scales weren't as high, sort of thing. Like basically she was just fighting Joan, not Joan Crawford. Who was the actress who played Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest? I can see her, but I can't get the name. I can't believe I've forgotten her name. I'm a bad gay. But yeah, she basically was just dealing with her, and that's it. And it was a very small story in a way. And maybe this film has the same problem where she's just fighting Cheetah and a politician. It's not exactly earth-shattering and groundbreaking, and so maybe they might have an argument. But I haven't read the reviews and the interviews, and I stopped a lot of the things once they got to the spoiler section. I stopped because I don't know if I'm going to see it in the cinema, and I don't want the experience ruined. If I don't see it in the cinema, I still will be seeing it on streaming, or maybe if I have to wait till Blu-ray, I'll be sitting down and watching it properly. I want to enjoy it for the first time. I don't really want to know too much about what's going to happen. I already know a fair amount. The previews give away a lot, and I've heard a bit of talk, but I haven't really looked at it that closely, so I haven't been able to do that. So I just sort of wanted to talk about that. I think it's a bit sad that people, I think, are viewing things through their political, what side of politics they fall on, and I don't think they can be objective. I think they just hate for the sake of it. It's like, oh, we don't like this, and they will just hate on it. And even if there isn't anything obvious to hate, they'll just look and find something. I've seen this with Discovery. Some people, you see their reviews, they've got nothing. They're not paying attention to the overall big issues, and the individual episode didn't have any actual sort of issues of its own. So they're just grasping at anything to put it down just so they can do a negative review because that's what their audience wants. I see that happening a lot. I don't do that. If there's anything good to talk about, I'll mention it. And there are a couple of Discovery episodes I almost liked, and there'd just be one thing that bugged me, and the rest of the time I'd talk about it in sort of neutral terms. And I will, if it gets good, I'll acknowledge it. If Strange New Worlds is good, I don't believe it can be because it's under the same license and the same people overseeing it. So I don't think there is any hope for it. Aside from it perhaps being episodic in its nature, it's still going to be the same gender politics and the same forced everything. And I don't have much hope for it, but it is possible. It's possible they could say, because Alex Kurtzman was saying, I want each show to be different for a different audience. So maybe they're going to make Strange New Worlds for the old school Star Trek fans, the actual Star Trek fans who want a utopian future show with exploration, individual episodes, actual stories with messages and lessons and examples and interesting thought-provoking scenarios. Maybe we'll get that. I say that and then I feel, no, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I'm going to go. I just want to talk about the fact that I wanted to do a review, but I can't because I don't want to ruin it for myself, because as much as I would like to do something like that for the few people who watch, and maybe do a fair one, unlike most of the ones she's getting, I don't want to ruin this film for myself because I love Wonder Woman so much that I want to try and save it so that first viewing is really, really good. So, but then this sort of story happened on its own, which is other people hating on it, which is its own story. So I thought, well, I can do a video about that in place of my review. But I think it'll be good. So long as the villains are big enough to justify a movie, it should be fine. And I don't have any problem with Orange Man bad, because Orange Man is bad. But yeah, if you're not subtle about it or intelligent about it or fair about it, you are just going to alienate people. And if you're doing a blockbuster like this, Patty, darling, sweetie, pet love, you cannot get political because you're going to lose half of your audience, even if you're on the right side. Even if history rewards you and says you were brilliant and ahead of your time and woke as AF, you're still going to lose half your audience in the moment because they're trumpets and they're just at a fever point at this point over the election being just given to Joe Biden, because the Electoral College did just vote and give him the seats. And there's one more step Trump has where, who is it? Is it Supreme Court or somebody basically there's one more step of actually receiving like the votes and validating it or something on December 6th or December 4, sorry, January 6th. So Trump is still hoping to get the people who are doing that, where it's the Supreme Court or the Electoral College just decided he got the votes, then they give them to, I think it's the Supreme Court, but he basically has asked them to throw it out and just give him the election. I don't think they will, but who knows. I wanted to mention that as well, because this video is already trashing Trump by saying they're doing a character that uses that sort of type of character, and that's turning Trump fans against the film. So we're already talking about Trump. But yeah, so he's still sore loser. He has lost, but he's trying, and part of it is this grift where they know basically people are going to donate money and they're going to make a lot of money out of it, even if they don't win anything, even if there is no hope for the court cases. While they're pushing, we need your support, we need money for the court case and for the fight. They're going to make a lot of money. He's already made over 200 million, and that's going to help for some of his debts, which as soon as he stops becoming president, he's got to deal with his debts. So, okay, so I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. What do you think about Wonder Woman? Do you think it's going to be good? I think it's going to be great. I'm just not sure it's going to be epic and world-shattering. But one of the arguments against superhero films is they're too big. And sometimes you can have a smaller story that is better because you get more involved in the story and the characters because it's small enough to relate to. I feel like Bumblebee was a good example of that. Because the Transformers films are too epic. It was just 2 hours of loud pounding noise, and it was just too much. Universes and planets sort of collapsing. So maybe a smaller, relatable superhero story that just has a basic villain might actually be good, might actually be more enjoyable. But I won't know until I see the film, which you'll hear about. I'm going to go.